Hello, welcome to the HVAC Diaries. Today is Friday, January 12th, and this is my HVAC vlog brought to you by New Calgon. Hey guys, how are you? I have decided to sit in the passenger seat today. Usually I sit in the driver's seat to do these vlogs, but just where I'm parked, there's this weird sun thing that's like cutting my face off. So if I'm sitting in this passenger seat, it's just cutting myself here, and hopefully you can ignore that for a little bit. But you can also see my jobber sign in the back, which I kind of like. How are you guys? Did you have a good week? Oh man, temperatures around here are frigid this week. Yesterday and today, we are experiencing something they're calling the Arctic outflow, which is just another way to say it's frickin' cold, just like the rest of the country. I think our most exciting job this week was the oil change that we had to do on the smaller of the two large semi-hermetic compressors for the walk-in freezer at our meat supplier. My dad actually got the call the day before. Trevor and I were on some other jobs, and so dad went to take care of this call. And the call was, the compressor is not starting. So when he got there, all it was somebody had bumped the switch. Literally. All you had to do is flick the switch and the thing fired up. And we've had trouble with that compressor room before because the staff there, they like to use it to warm things and to dry things. So on the one side, they've got this little thing where they hang their clothes and their shoes to keep them warm and dry. But also, they have a habit of thawing meat in that room. Which is, I think, very unhealthy. I don't think that's the best way to thaw meat properly. But also, we really feel like they damaged the previous compressor. It cost them a lot of money to replace it. And wouldn't you know, like we tell them all the time, don't use that room for anything else. Anything. And every time we visit them, there's meat in there, there's something in that room. So we think whoever was putting something in that room, they inadvertently bumped the power box, because this is not the first time that this has happened either. So it's a bit of a nuisance call. But it's actually a good thing that my dad went there, because once he fired it up, he noticed a refrigerant leak out of the oil plug in the back. So in the compressor, there's an oil pump on the inside of it, and there's like a little magnetic plug in the back that's got a gasket and a filter. And its job is to collect any metal dust or shavings or filings that are maybe in the system for whatever reason. It just collects them and holds them there. And once that thing gets full, it's a bit compromised. So that's what we had. It was leaking refrigerant out of it. We pulled all of the oil out of the compressor. And it was a bit tricky because the compressor room is quite small. It's not really big enough for three technicians to be working. So I got things started. I was helping my dad to pull the oil out of the compressor. But it was kind of weird because we had these oil lines that just wouldn't work. The first one, it wouldn't pull any oil out of the compressor. So we tried one of my dad's gauge lines. The yellow one didn't work either. We got a little bit out. But then when we used the last one, we used a red gauge line. That one came pouring out, luckily. I think we're gonna have to chuck the gauge line and the oil line that didn't work, because I don't know, I don't want to try and use it again next time. So once we had the oil out, they sent me to grab something from the truck, and by the time I came back from the truck, my dad and my brother had situated themselves in such a way that I couldn't even open the door to get into the compressor room. So I was kind of stuck behind the door, just like passing them things. And yeah, it wasn't not a super hands-on job for me. Then once the oil was replaced, we also replaced the activated dryer core inside the filter dryer. We do that pretty much every time we open the system for any reason, oil changes, if we have a refrigerant leak or anything like that. If we have to open the system, we'll replace that core as well. And when you replace the core, on the bottom of it, there's this little gasket, and it changes color. It turns into like a red color, and to me it looks kind of like putty, but it's not. It's an actual gasket, and this one was just stuck on so badly. I wasn't really sure it was going to come off at all, but we gouged it out. We used this tiny little control screwdriver like this one, and you just gouged around the whole thing until the whole thing just peeled out beautifully. And then you can place the new one in, and then I use the same screwdriver and I just like push it into its place. And of course, we always use new Calgon refrigerant oil. We had another service call at the same meat supplier actually during the week. They have a blast freezer as well, which the complaint was the fans are not running. So we go onto the rooftop, we just check everything out, and it's very, very low on refrigerant. Actually, Trevor found the refrigerant leak on the Schrader valve on the access fitting, which sometimes refrigeration contractors say that's the cop-out, like, oh, you can't find the leak, you just say that it's in the Schrader valve. But this one actually literally was leaking. We could see it with our own eyes. It was pouring out of the access port. So Trevor tightened the Schrader valve, which we carry these little control screwdrivers with us all the time. I have one in my pocket, and most of them have this little Schrader valve key on the top. So all you have to do is put that in, snug it in, and then twist it. Either twist it closed or twist it open. Got a nice new thumb cap. On that access fitting, and we topped her up, and she should be good to go now. And because of the oil change in the other smaller compressor, we're kind of just watching the oil levels in this other compressor. And it took a while to get the oil to come back to the compressor, but it finally did. And while we're on that roof, of course, my dad has to go and visit his other little babies. So I selfishly would love this compressor to die. Joking, not joking. So this is a Copeland discus compressor, which I haven't had the opportunity to take apart and look inside. I want to see the disc valves. It is still a reciprocating compressor, so it's still got its pistons and everything. But instead of having valve reeds like the ones I've seen before, it's got discs. And I want to see the discs. We learned about them in school and kind of want to see them for myself. During the week between Christmas and New Year, we had a no heat service call to a local hotel here in the reception area. Their problem was dirty filters. Somebody just forgot to change their filters over there. Unfortunately, we don't service that building. We just get called for repairs and stuff like that. But we also did find an intermittently faulty temperature control, which is almost like a rollout switch kind of thing. Anyway, that part finally arrived because we had to order it during that week. It finally arrived, so Trevor and I went and put it in. Okay. Bam. It's in this really tricky spot as well, like right underneath the burners. So you got to kind of get underneath there and get her in.
Don't be confused.
The rest of the week was basically filter changes and HVAC maintenance. A little bit boring. There was a Daikin rooftop unit that we took care of. A couple of ductless splits. There's one unit, it's a split unit on the inside. We have to change the filter. Trevor usually changes that filter, but this time I was like, I'll go up and do it. However, standing on the ladder, the filter is just out of my reach. I took a video for you. So this filter up here is just out of my reach. Just can't get to it. So Trevor found this thing downstairs. It's a big hook and it does a great job. There she is. Yes, no problem. Oh, it's the thing that opens and closes the blinds. Well, now it's a filter puller. I parted ways with my dad and my brother one day to go and take care of some maintenance myself. Just a filter change at the pub and the liquor store, which I do on a monthly basis. And I fight with that one filter every time because of the way that it is. I just have to literally fold a brand new filter in half, and it makes me shake my head every time when I'm like folding the thing and then squishing it. Like, what am I doing? And then this other building we take care of. I don't know who installed that stuff there, but I shake my head every time I see that line set. I always love the line set run here. Oh, what a mess. We've inherited these 2 units. Just here to do some maintenance, change the filters. Does that one even have a filter? Oh yeah. Okay. I did spend a few hours this week doing some bookkeeping for mid-month stuff. I have to pay all of my bills and my government remittances and stuff like that by the 15th of the month, which is, when is the 15th? On Monday? So, yeah, got all that stuff done on time. I was also interviewed this week on a YouTube show called Bathica Banter.
Well, welcome everybody.
By a guy named Jerry Wagner, who was the trainer at my Tussaud training a couple weeks ago, last month.
Upon commissioning a system, if you immediately get a sensor error, I guarantee you that that's the resolution to it.
He was an excellent trainer, and at the end of it, I went and introduced myself, and I gave him one of my stickers, and he reached out pretty much right away, and he was like, I'd love to interview you on our show. So that was a really excellent interview. It was about an hour long. Already here to do my little interview with Jerry Wagner on his YouTube show, Bathica Banter. Should be a good time. HVACR is my second career. I became an apprentice at the ripe age of 35 years old. And it will be published on his YouTube channel in March. I'm going to be the 3rd episode, and he has monthly episodes. So when that airs, I will definitely link that for you. It was one of my absolute favorite interviews that I've done. And it was really cool of him to give me a shout out on his very first episode.
Need for more women to get into our trade, Victor, right? And a future guest is going to be a young lady named Jessica Bannister. Most of us in the trade know her as HVAC Jess. She's, I consider her an influencer in our industry. Young lady who's so excited about our industry and puts that out there on social media. She's a brilliant social media person. And again, we need to bring everybody into.
I also had a really great call with the organizers of the CMPX conference in Toronto in March. Unfortunately, everybody except me is gearing up to go to Chicago for AHR Expo next week. It starts on Monday, and I am dying with the fear of missing out. I feel like I'm the only HVAC person in the whole entire world that isn't going to attend this thing. I know that's not true. So if you are going and you do want to get an HVAC Jess sticker, I will have them at the new Calgon booth. So you can go and visit my friends in blue and go and ask them for a sticker. And if you are not going to AHR, but you happen to be going to CMPX in March, I will be there for sure. I am booked and ready to go. I will be part of the social hub this year, so that should be a very exciting experience. I was there 2 years ago with their last conference in 2022, and I just had the best time. So I hope to see you guys there. Alright guys, well that's all the adventures I've got for you this week. I am actually freezing cold in my truck. This toque is doing a good job, and so is this jacket, although I feel like it's been very noisy. So hopefully it's not too distracting, and nor is this sunline too distracting. Maybe if I go down here. Cool. So thank you again for joining me on this episode of the HVAC Diaries HVAC vlog. I'm so happy that you're here again, and I look forward to bringing you another episode next week. Whenever we come here, I always take a video of this long ass picture of Vancouver. Isn't that crazy? I love it. During the week between damn.
The man, the myth, the legend.